It is, man. It is hot. It is hot in this fucking room. So I'm at this like single wide trailer on this lake. I think it's called like Dale Hollow Lake. I'm like right on the border of Tennessee and Kentucky. And I was here a few weeks ago and like the air conditioning was kicking. It was like too cold in here, but like it's for some reason not working. And man, I wish it. I would love for it to be too cold rather than this.
What is the temperature there now? Let's see.
I mean, enough for me to be sweating in an unventilated room.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You gonna go swimming in the lake later?
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the dog out and see how she does. We're gonna see. This is like big time Trump country. We're gonna see some of the beautiful boaters. last time I was here, I saw some beautiful boaters with Trump flags.
Really?
So yeah, it's exciting.
You've got your RPG launcher?
No.
Yeah. yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm setting mines and depth charges in the lake.
No. Please. It'd be,
Yeah, man.
you know, that's you know, it's so garish to use RPGs. I mean, what you really need is just something to get through some fiberglass. I can't believe I said that. I'm so sorry. It is astounding to me that there are these Trump boat rallies. Did you see the one on fucking Lake Travis in Austin?
Of course.
It's so good.
Jesus Christ, man.
It's hilarious. There's that one picture of like the boat like crashing into this enormous wave that's like coming over the top of it, and just like this like, you know, probably like QAnon grandma like on it looking terrified. It's really good. Really, really good picture.
I just kept thinking about like the Spanish Armada or something like that, but it's a bunch of Facebook boomers.
Well, the boaters thing, like it's perfect for Donald Trump because it's sort of like something we've talked about before, like this sort of like very fake kind of like LARPing as like a working, it's like it has like a very kind of like working class aesthetic, like to go out on a lake, you know what I'm saying, and to like go out on the water and drink some beers. Like it's like a very like, you know, it's affiliated with like more associated with more rural areas sometime. I mean, I know it's also in Long Island, but it's like, you know, it's like they're toys for, you know, the petty bourgeois. Like
Exactly.
Just because they live, you know, just because it's happening like in a lake in the middle of the country, you know, it doesn't mean that these aren't mostly well-off people. I mean, having a boat is very expensive, but like to Trump, like that's probably, it's like a symbol of like, you know, the working class or something, or like the blue collar boaters.
I feel like it's like it's just the Marine version of bikers for Trump.
Exactly.
Right. When
exactly.
all those guys are like
Yeah.
retired dentists with $50,000
guys.
Harleys.
Yeah, they're
Yep.
the same. They're the exact same guys.
They're the same people.
Yeah.
What a lack of things going on in your life. Like no hobbies or projects to be working on, or like larger intellectual pursuits. Like I'm just thinking, if I had a retiree's time and a boomer's pension, like I would hope that I would want to do things that wasn't just like airing my petty grievances out to whoever will listen. It's so unimaginative.
Well, I think it's important that these people are also engaged in a war to take down the cabal.
That's true.
And that takes up a lot of time and energy.
I mean, you guys are a bit more learned about it than I am. I mean, do they think that they're making an impact?
Who?
The QAnon weirdos that think that they're
of
like
course.
reducing human trafficking or something
Of course.
like that.
Well, because I mean, the whole appeal of QAnon is, you know, or one of the big appeals is that it's like, it's interactive. It's like Blue's Clues. You get to like, you know, you get to interact with Q, and you get to interact with all your friends and all the other like amateur detectives online, and you get to like put the pieces together and pretend that you're helping. Yeah, like you know, you're taking down the deep state. It's the same delusion that the Russiagate liberals have. It's the same thing.
They are making an impact. They're going to Congress.
Yeah.
Jesus,
They are
Christ.
making an impact. Yeah,
that
they're
is
not going
bleak.
anywhere either.
The Tea Party is like, it's like a fucking, it looked like nothing at this point.
Yeah.
Like it didn't even, compared to QAnon people infiltrating, you know, trying to get into Congress. Like the Tea Party, remember like whatever, like 2011 when the Tea Party was starting, they had like, you know, those guys that would have ponytails and wear tri-corner hats in a Walmart
Sure.
parking lot.
Sure.
Like those guys. Like,
I went to a Tea Party event in Richmond just for fun to see what it would be like.
No
Yeah,
way.
Yeah. In like 2000, gosh, I guess it would have been 2010.
what was that like?
I mean, pretty interesting. You know, I mean, it seems so different though when you think about it. Like the far right, like ultra, you know, reactionary conservative movement under Obama, like it's morphed into something so much more insidious under Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I think that like the initial pushback to Obama, it was like still like, some holdovers from, at least they were still maybe like more run of the mill, like religious Bush era conservatives, and like their main things were like abortion and gay marriage and stuff like that. Now their main issues are like Chrissy Teigen is literally eating children.
Yeah.
That's their platform or whatever.
And the great irony is a lot of those first generation psychos who read the Tea Party wave into Congress are now getting primaried out from the right by QAnon second generation psychos.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's such a bad feeling.
Well, there was someone. Man, I'm haunted by it. I didn't read the full article, but one of you, it might have been you. One of you posted that screenshot in the DM yesterday about like that interview with that QAnon person.
Yes.
It's like, well, if Trump loses, there's just nothing to do except go run my car in the garage and kill myself and my children.
Right. Put my kids in the car, turn it
Yeah.
on, and let it run.
Right.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people like don't do dumb pop psychiatry about like, oh, the nation is depressed or something like that. But like this is not okay. Wasn't it like earlier this year that guy was in like Worcester, Massachusetts, live streaming in the car, like driving in a police chase with his kids screaming in the back, talking about QAnon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yikes, guys. That's no fun.
Well, there was that woman as well in Colorado. There was like some weird kidnap. I forget the details, but there was like some
You're
weird
right.
QAnon related kidnapping case, and it was almost like this sort of like very small, localized, like in-person group of QAnon people who had met each other, or maybe they previously knew each other and all got into QAnon together. But like there's things like that springing up as well. Like there was an article I read a week or so ago, and it was from like a conservative Christian magazine or something, but it was like analyzing QAnon as a problem. It's like, how do we, like, this is obviously insane, but then like how do we and they were expressing even their own helplessness. It's like, how do we even talk to people? How do we talk to our friends and family who are like insulating themselves just among like-minded QAnon people? And it really, I mean, it's a cult. It really is a cult. And even like, conservative Christian writer, looking at it that way as well.
That's an interesting angle, I think, too, how in certain circles there's a merging of Christianity and QAnon. Like the cosmologies are just being seamlessly merged into like something crazy.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. So the people that like what I was just talking about, like the interactive, sort of like doing detective work part of it, like it's the same kind of people that were into like Bible code shit and like prophecy type shit. You know what I'm saying? It's the same appeal.
A very American
it's the same.
thing.
It's the same pleasure center. It's like that's the same people. They're like going from Bible code shit to QAnon.
What a fucking, I mean, I'm just thinking about how far we've come since, I mean, obviously everything like this weekend, I just feel like is in the lens of 9/11, and I kept like remembering like small things from the post 9/11 insanity. Because like we were kids. I mean, we were in high school, I think.
I was in 8th grade.
Yeah. And I just remember like, and I tweeted about this yesterday, just like adults, people that like you looked up to losing their fucking minds and like going way far off the rails in such a quick manner. Like that's the creepy thing I think I realized about it this year is like how quickly things change. Like how quickly our qualities of life declined as a result of the pandemic and the response to it. And then like after 9/11, just how quickly everything changed, and in such an unpredictable way. Like you couldn't even predict the fact that like politicians were getting thrown out of office for not wearing a American flag pin on their lapel.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking, actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking a lot about that yesterday, and like the same people that talk about like cancel culture and like campus free speech type stuff today. Do you remember Ward Churchill? Do you remember that professor?
I met him, dude.
Oh, did you?
Yes,
the professor,
I did.
He was a professor at University of Colorado University in Boulder.
Yes.
He was an ethics professor, and he wrote that essay not too long after 9/11, basically saying that, this is the chickens coming home to roost. This is, America deserved this because of their imperialism in the Middle East and meddling in the Middle East and acts of war against Iraq and all that sort of stuff. And and but specifically used that phrase "little Eichmann," saying that like the
Yeah.
people, like the technocrats in the Twin Towers weren't innocent because they were like cogs in this larger machine of imperialism, and I mean, he was fired. He was
Yep.
shamed out of he was kicked out of academia for that wrongfully. He sued them and won for his
Right.
case for wrongful termination. And
I
it's
mean,
so funny. Like, to
not
look
that your
at something
career
like that,
comes back, but
to look at something like that nowadays, it's like these are the same people. Like what? Like it just shows you just how insane it was post 9/11. Because like this is like these are the same people that nowadays rail about cancel culture and free speech on campus and stuff like that.
There was, I wish I could find this, but a little while ago, I happened across a video, I think it was on YouTube, that was basically just like, it was just mainstream media coverage of post 9/11 anti-war protests. And it's just awful. It's like, what? Like, excuse me, sir, why do you hate the troops? Like, what?
Right. Well, I remember, like, I tweeted this yesterday. I've definitely shared this story with you before, Dwight, about like going to DC with my parents like a few weeks after 9/11, and
Yeah.
like because it was the night we stayed up there was the night before we started bombing Afghanistan or invaded Afghanistan or whatever. And I remember, like, I think it was that night, because I guess everybody knew it was imminent and that was something was coming, and there were like people. I remember we were watching the news in the hotel room, and there was like anti-war protesters, and my dad was just so mad. It's like,
Really?
look at these pieces of shit. Yeah.
The thing that stuck in my mind, and I'm surprised it's not talked about more. I think this was, you remember in 1971 there was the concert for Bangladesh with George Harrison and he had Leon Russell. Oh, cool! It was a great concert. But they did a concert for 9/11 or a concert for New York or something.
I remember that.
And I remember being a kid. Right, I was in high school, and the moment that I knew that shit was going off the rails, and maybe we can insert it here, was when Adam Sandler came out as Opera Man, as his old SNL character. And he said something to the effect of like, and now these people are out there shitting in a cave.
Right.
And people erupted with cheers.
Sure.
And I remember thinking like, oh, fuck, this is propaganda to dehumanize a race of people to justify something. I don't know if I obviously probably didn't articulate it that well as a kid, but like I was like, this feels like there's a turning point here, that like this is what feral mobs feel like.
Sure. There was definitely a period where you could not even be mildly critical of the war or of the military or the government or anything. Like I remember, like,
and this was before must have been like 2002 or something.
Yeah. I remember. I used to watch, like, even like in comedy. Like I remember, like I watched you. Mike, you probably watched this. Did you ever watch Tough Crowd with
Yes.
Colin Quinn? I used to watch that all the time when I was in high school, and it was like like post 9/11, early Iraq War when it was on, and it's like I've gone back and like watched YouTube clips of it like since then. It is so. I mean, it's like got Nick DiPaolo and shit on it, but like it's so. I mean, they're all in for the war. It's like they're all like hard
Tough
right-wing
guys.
opinion. Yeah. Tough New York guy bullshit. But like this is like this was a even on a popular comedy show, like it was just going towing the line.
Speaking of like the dehumanizing aspect, I had a cousin who after 9/11 joined the military, and he was always a real shithead, racist guy. But his whole thing was like he always would be like, Mike, bro, these guys, they don't even wash their hands after they shit. And it's like,
wow,
does that idea make it easier for you to kill them? Like, what?
Jesus Christ.
That's also like just inherently wrong as well. Like their whole thing is like a clean asshole. And,
Yeah.
it's like it's like
even,
literally part of their religion is like being
even
very
like
cleanly about that.
During the Crusades or whatever, you could probably like smell the Saxons coming.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And I looked this up, and actually this is a lot more bleak than I thought it was. That concert for New York City, firstly, was founded by Paul McCartney, which hurts.
Of course.
And it was October 20th, 2001.
Oh wow.
It was 6 weeks after. So like the rapidity with which the nation was looking for blood, and quickly, the interests of the administration at the time was just like, oh, we can co-opt this in a fucking hurry. And exactly to that point, Mike, like the idea that these were like some, feral people that had no standards of living or something. Like Osama bin Laden was rich as shit. Like he came from an extremely wealthy family.
Do you remember when everybody remember when they kept saying like he lived in a hollowed out mountain like a Bond villain or something?
Oh,
Remember,
all those diagrams in Newsweek.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God.
They just took like a drawing of like the Tora Bora region and completely hollowed it all out, so it's
Yeah.
all bunkers.
Oh my God. It's just like we watched every adult. This is why, and this is what I was thinking about yesterday. Like we 9/11 has become a punchline in a way because it's. I remember what it was. I got an email from somebody that said something to the effect of, "Hey, just checking in on something. I hope you're doing well on this somber day." And I was like, "Fuck off, dude!" Like. But and I feel that we can be cynical about it because we watched that national trauma get co-opted and metastasized and totally used as a means to an end.
Right.
Taking away any ability for us to mourn the 3,000 some odd people that died from the actual event and justify killing 1 million people.
Right. Right.
How fucking insane is that?
Well, it's like and I honestly think it's even gotten worse because like even like the way we remember 9/11 or like the way people decide to honor 9/11 is like, for example, like the deeply fascist display that Ari Fleischer does every year. It's like you have to look at it through like it was just this like they fetishize the tragedy and the loss and like the bloodshed and the defeat of it and like the defeat, the brief defeat, but then coming back and getting retribution. It's all fascist. It's all like extremely fascist. To look at it through that kind of lens, and I think that's only getting worse because at this point it's almost like I mean it's just like almost a religion. Like you have to honor the first responders, you have to honor the NYPD and the firefighters. It's like like we've made the joke before about like going to the World Trade Center nowadays and like visiting. It's like the relics of the saints, like going to like a thumb of a firefighter or something like that. It's sort of become like a religion in that sort of way. It's just like you cannot even question it.
It's not even like this is. It's stupid to bring up hypocrisy, but like Giuliani was the one, if I'm not mistaken, that like separated the EMTs in New York away from health and hospitals and put them under the FDNY, but disallowed them from getting the same like salary levels and like pension and benefits and union benefits that the FDNY enjoys. So like the actual first responders that are like helping people every day in New York City are some of the least taken care of people.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, they've also they've had to
and
fight,
that was Giuliani.
Then they've had to fight Congress for years just to get their some kind of benefits, just to get their medical bills or whatever taken care of.
There's like a strange yearly spectacle where Jon Stewart goes to Congress with like a guy who's dying of cancer in a wheelchair and has to beg to get some treatment for this guy and his colleagues.
Never forget.
Never forget.
Fuck, that is so fucked up, isn't it? That like so what the fuck, what are they fighting for? Like what's the even point of quote honoring first responders if you're literally not even going to cover the cancer treatment that they needed to incur because
it's not because they don't give a shit about the individual people. It's like I said, it's like a very sort of like fascist like fetishization of them and of the loss and of their sacrifice and of their suffering and of their bloodshed. It's like it's like the individual people don't matter. It's what they symbolize.
It's like how SPQR was written all over Rome, and it just like it was it's just a fucking catchphrase. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
It's just like their material response matching now the president's rhetorical response, just calling troops like losers and suckers. Like that's the actual belief like underlying it. Like they just don't normally say that.
It's so fucking funny, dude. That you saw the fucking Trump calling, what was it, like World War I veterans in France?
What?
They're dead.
Is he wrong? What did they die for?
Where's the lie?
Yeah. What was the point?
Yeah, I don't even know why was America even in World War One. It's clearly not a history podcast. Anyway, but like, how do they fucking square that circle? How do they square that circle that the literal commander-in-chief is calling dead soldiers, like 100 years ago, dead soldiers, a bunch of pussies? That's insane. How do they rationalize that?
It doesn't matter. It's fake news. They don't believe it. He denied it. He said he never said it, and that's all that matters.
It's the media's out to get him.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He can do whatever he wants, literally. He literally could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and he's not wrong.
He should.
And again, I don't want anyone to get hurt, but I don't remember I don't remember if this was like,
I
don't remember who said this, but no. But to watch Donald Trump fire a firearm would be the best thing we could ever see.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't seen that yet. Like, just show up in one of his videos with like a machine gun.
But could you imagine just like watching his neck waddle just like vibrate with the concussion of the round?
He's so dainty. He's so delicate. I don't think he could handle like the recoil.
He's a fancy boy.
Completely ventilating like an effigy scarecrow of like a black bloc guy.
Obama and Jim Acosta targets.
Oh, dude. I've gone into a shooting range and seen targets that you can buy, and it is the silhouette of Obama.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Of course.
They have the Arab guys.
Oh, what a fucking joke, man. I feel so much dread.
I was thinking about there's a writer who was, or I think still is at The Intercept, John Schwartz, and there's a tweet from like 2013 or something that pops up on 9/11 occasionally. And basically what he said was the United States would have been so much better off if their response to 9/11 was just literally nothing.
Literally nothing.
Literally nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that doesn't take into like the political calculations of that, but like just in a vacuum, absolutely.
Like, it's something that happened. We want to move on and heal.
Right.
And instead it's just, but that's the thing. There was money to be made. This was like the thing that I just like couldn't get my head around yesterday, because I was like, they used that pain as a call to action to transfer trillions of dollars of wealth away from the social programs that we needed and put them into the pockets of the majority shareholders of defense contractors, of which there were many shareholders in the cabinet of the Bush administration.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, not only that, but not even to mention, the invasion of Iraq, which had a country that had nothing to do with it, and also like the clamping down on civil liberties. It's almost like, I'm not saying Bush did 9/11, but it's a little too convenient.
He might as well have, like,
it's a little too convenient, and I am a little bit I do sort of believe that maybe they didn't know exactly what kind of attack was coming, but I think they had an idea and let it happen. At least that's, I don't know.
At the very least,
they definitely covered up Saudi Arabia's involvement.
They didn't
like
stop
they've even if you don't think they were responsible anyway, the United States, that is, like, they were complicit in helping cover Saudi Arabia's involvement, and there are certain elements in Saudi Arabia. So if they were willing to cover up that, what else were they willing to cover up?
And they still are to this day. They've been blocking all those reports that say Saudi Arabia did it.
Right. And meanwhile, Saudi Arabia is like literally, threatening Canada to do another 9/11 on them.
9/11 too in Toronto.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's the other point. Like, what the fuck is the point of a huge intelligence apparatus if it didn't even predict it?
It did. I mean, there was all that hubbub about that
Ooh, chatter. Remember that term?
Well, yeah, there was the one that was like the Daily Memo is like Bin Laden determined to attack within the United States. It was like a month before that, like was sent to Bush. He supposedly never read or whatever. So like they knew something was coming. Like I said, like they, they may not have known the scale of the attack or where it would be or what it would be. But certainly they did know something was coming.
By far, my favorite thing about, like, well, it's weird to say, like, what your favorite thing of 9/11 is, but my favorite thing of that era is how they took that vast intelligence apparatus, which was, like, totally failing, and they put the public face of that was colors, right? It was green, it was yellow, it was orange, it
Terror
was
level
red.
red, man.
Just to let you know how scared you should be that day.
Right.
Oh, and like they would cancel things. Like schools would be like, "No, we're not coming in today. It's terror level orange."
Do you remember the duct tape and the plastic sheeting thing they told everybody to go out and buy so you could like seal up your windows in case of like a chemical attack or something?
They
Dude,
were messing
yes.
with the terror level like ahead of elections just to benefit them.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, Chris, you reminded me of that like a month or two ago about like, yeah, being, preparing yourself in the event of a chemical attack.
Dirty bomb.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
one of the main. It's
Jesus.
one of the weird things that always sticks out. That I remember that.
Anthrax.
I also, there's the anthrax attacks that they never
That actually happened.
solved. Weirdly.
That they did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, conveniently like attack the most like sacred institution that they're meant to protect, and then they're just like, well, all shucks, can't figure this one out.
Every time John Kerry spoke, they rose the terror level.
Oh God, John Kerry.
John Kerry,
it
man.
was so funny.
It's embarrassing to even talk about this. I was like all in for John. I just hated George Bush so much. I was all in for John Kerry. I was 17 years old. I volunteered. I made phone calls. I wasn't old enough to vote yet, but like on election day, I like volunteered at the polling place as well. And I remember like we were so outnumbered by the Bush people, and I remember they had a sign that they put out front that said, support President Bush and our troops, because those two are inseparable. It's like,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's like to look back at that now, I mean, it was just so tied up together. I mean, remember the catchphrase, you can't change horses midstream. Like that was the whole thing. Like it's like, we can't criticize the war, we can't criticize the troops, and we need Bush to see this through.
Can you imagine being him and like just falling into the president? Like, firstly, he shouldn't have become president in the first place. Like Gore v. Bush, like that, they stole an election. Like the Supreme Court just like decreed that like that he was going to be the president. That's insane. He wasn't even democratically elected, and then he gets a second term.
Again, when we talk about all this stuff, like Bush stealing the election, and also 9/11 and the wars and all that stuff, it's always helpful to keep in mind that his father is literally a CIA agent. You know what I'm saying? Like,
He was the head of the CIA.
Yeah, I mean, George H.W. Bush he's the head of the CIA, but he was definitely lifelong involved in the CIA. I mean, he was definitely had connections with the CIA all through the Reagan administration. I mean, he was the one that largely oversaw a lot of Iran-Contra. I don't think that his involvement with the CIA ever ended.
The guy who made Iran-Contra go away is currently the Attorney General.
Oh my God.
Like, the boys are back. They never really left.
They never left.
Ollie North is at the head of the NRA. Oh, they all come back. Elliot Abrams came back briefly for.
Yeah.
He was the liaison to Venezuela, and now I think also, what was the other one? Is he Iran as well?
Iran.
Oh, yeah.
Elliot Abrams.
The United States diplomat for regime change.
Yeah.
Dude, with Bush, it wasn't even a secret. Like, they bragged about it. They were like, "Oh, remember?" Like, reports came out, or like a news story being like, "Hey, George H.W. Bush is the only sitting president that still gets a daily CIA briefing." Like, they weren't hiding it. And he was, and I know, Chris, you brought this up on a previous episode, but like, that was getting those kind of fucking white bread kids out of Ivy League schools like in the fucking 40s or whatever.
Yeah.
Was exactly who they wanted as
Yeah.
like, these patriots or whatever.
Yeah.
For
Just
intelligence service.
wasps out of Yale and Harvard.
Wasn't there a movie about that with fucking De Niro and Matt Damon?
About Skull and Bones?
No, fuck, Jesus, Skull and Bones. That's dude. Bush and Kerry were both Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it was. I feel like the same thing now. Like with it's like worse than between Trump and Biden, who are just like both racist leches. But like with Bush versus Kerry, you had to choose between one of two guys from the same elite secret society that stole Geronimo's bones.
So
Right.
there is. Have you guys ever seen? This is pre 9/11. This came out in 2000. A film called The Skulls.
Yeah, fuck yeah. With
Yeah.
like
I never saw it. I remember when
Joshua
it came
Jackson from Dawson's Creek, and also Paul Walker. Rest in peace.
yes, Paul Walker, right.
that's a weird movie.
I remember the scene where he's like, all right, I'm going into the secret island. And it was him in like a fucking crew boat, just like going across the river or whatever to like, I'm going to go get him. Oh, what a fucking joke, dude. Oh, what a joke. And that was before. And yeah, like it just became part of cultural conversation to be like, oh yeah, no, there's a secret society where you have to like masturbate in front of your father who was in a coffin.
Yeah, you desecrate Native American graves. It's no big deal. It's cool. It's very legal.
You know, I didn't know. I came on this podcast not knowing you guys kink shame. So
So sorry. We should probably, for those who are, listening a half an hour into this, welcome Mike back to the show.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
what's up, y'all?
Welcome
Yo,
back,
good to
friend.
see you, man. Good to see you. It's good to have the boys back in town.
Likewise.
You know, the Democrats really have learned, I mean, nothing. If you talk about learning nothing since 2016, they've learned nothing since 2004. Because that whole run against Bush in 2004 was like, look at John Kerry. He's a war hero and he's a patriot, and we're going to out-patriot, and we're going to out-America, and we're going to out-troop the Republicans. And I mean, they're essentially doing the same thing now. I mean, it's like the right just keeps going farther to the right, and then the Democrats, like, they just keep going farther to the right as well, trying to
they're
peel
playing
votes
catch
away
up.
from the Republicans. Like, they don't, having completely abandoned the left. And you've got fucking Joe Biden out here saying, like, we're gonna give cops more money.
It's honestly masterful what the Republicans did to John Kerry in 2004, who was like, by any measure, like a real bona fide troop, right?
Yeah.
George Bush simply
Yeah.
was not that.
Correct.
They turned it completely around. They
The
said, "Oh,
swift-boating.
John Kerry, yeah, they swift-boated his ass. He's this elitist fake troop." And remember
Windsurfing.
at the convention, they all had Band-Aids on their faces because that was the injury that John Kerry
Oh my
sustained.
God.
It was so
No way.
I
Yeah.
do.
they thought that John Kerry's injuries were fake, and so they just put like one Band-Aid on their face to mock him.
Looking like
And
fucking Nelly.
This was
I mean, meanwhile, George W. Bush is like AWOL from the National Guard, like doing coke at
Doing
a strip club in Houston.
what a boss.
Like literally there's like letters from superiors being like, take it easy on little guy. His dad's a congressman or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, what a fucking joke, huh?
It's so funny. It's cool even.
It's but Mike, you're so right. It was masterful how they deftly took him down. And it's not even like Karl Rove was the most competent fucking political operative in the world. He was a weirdo nerd and nobody took him seriously except for George W. Bush, who's just like, I like this little guy having him around. Like, they totally fucked Kerry up. What was the margin from that?
That's a good question, because one of my maybe more fringe conspiracy beliefs, at least in the sense that it's not like super widely accepted, is so like obviously 2000 was a stolen election, but I also tend to believe 2004 was a stolen election with all those debold
Bush-
machines.
Bush did win the popular vote, though.
He
Fake
did.
news. It's fake news.
He did.
In
Not
fact,
by
I
a wide
believe
margin.
That's the only Republican since 1988, right? Who's won the popular vote in an election.
Yeah, and it was 50 50.7% to Bush, 48.3% to Kerry, and the electoral vote, he got 286 and Kerry got 251.
That's because Bush had all those Diebold machines flipping the votes for him.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
Google peak oil.
He really, I mean, I'm looking at the electoral map too. I mean, he really fucking sweeped. I mean, it's remarkable. The only states that Kerry got was like New England down to Maryland, and then
Coastal
Washington.
elites.
Yep. Washington, Oregon, California, and then Michigan, Illinois, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. The rest was all Bush.
Even John Kerry got Wisconsin.
Even fuck. So basically, I mean,
Have you guys, not to go off on a tangent, but real quick, have you guys ever seen the videos of an extremely young John Kerry, like straight back from Vietnam, going on Dick Cavett?
Yeah, and I have.
Those
I've
are
seen
great.
I've seen the videos of him testifying before Congress too.
That's a cool John Kerry right there.
and even that, like, he was a rich kid, right? Wasn't his
Yeah.
dad like governor
was,
of
yeah.
Massachusetts or something?
Oh yeah, and then he went on to marry
Married richer, yeah.
Heinz ketchup lady.
He killed it, man. I will defend Heinz, but I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, the ketchup, not the person. But and he inherited so much money. It's insane to me how, like, it. Why do the Democrats consistently put up these like gilded Fauntleroys?
That's who runs the party.
I mean, at least Joe Biden didn't come from money, right? Like, but he's a fucking idiot. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also like just so establishment at this point. He's just been in there for so fucking long.
I know.
I mean, honestly, what a disaster. What a disaster. Joe Biden, what a fucking disaster, man.
But dude, remember this? The best thing that Democrats were coming up with. This is actually, now that I'm thinking about it, one of the most, like, if you took Democrats and smelted them down into like the most concentrated form, this is what it would be. That one of the biggest points that they had against George W. Bush was that he got C's in college. How perfectly Democrat is that?
Well, also, the same thing they use against Donald Trump is that he dodged the draft, which, you know, I know it's not cool that he was able to do it only because he was rich, but I mean, dodging the draft is, in a vacuum itself, cool.
Exceptionally
It's a cool thing to do. It's
exceptionally cool.
I wish I did it.
I heard
I
a
wish
story.
they'd bring it back just so I would have a chance.
I heard a story. I don't remember exactly. I think it was like a family friend or something like that. But he was like, when they went in for like interviews, or if your number got pulled or something for Vietnam, that this guy and his buddies passed around this shirt that was just like, only an insane person would wear this like ill-fitting orange shirt. And then they went in there and they would just like act like they're totally off their fucking rocker, and they would wear this shirt, and then they dodged the draft like that. Like, that's fucking hilarious.
Ted Nugent, who is like obviously a super right-wing pro-troop, pro-military guy nowadays, he dodged the draft, and he bragged in an old interview, I don't know if this is true or not, but the way he said he did it was by like, showing up hammered and like shitting his pants.
No fucking way.
Yeah. And this is like, cut to 2016, he's like shooting a crossbow at an effigy of Hillary Clinton on stage.
That's right.
I love the idea of showing up with like weird clothes and acting crazy, because that just makes me think of like when the FBI started taking down the mafia guys in New York. There was a number of them who very suddenly became seriously mentally ill, and they were found, like, these mafia bosses were found like walking in the middle of the road in their bathrobe, just like muttering to themselves.
No way.
Yeah, and that they were just like building up their legal defense.
Isn't that like the premise of that new movie with Tom Hardy about fucking Capone or something?
Oh,
Like he
is
was
that?
in. Yeah, he's like in Florida.
Well,
and
he literally
He had
lost
syphilis.
his mind.
Is that what
he
it
had
was?
like tertiary
Okay.
syphilis.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, good for him.
They
Well, he
killed
was
him.
committed to the bit, I guess.
I've heard a
Sorry.
story about like a very old, like, demented Al Capone, like just sitting by his pool fishing, like just casting a fishing pole into his pool.
That's gonna be fucking Biden in the Rose Garden if he gets
Yeah, yeah.
elected.
Italian excellence.
That would be great, honestly, because just imagine how if Biden wins, just imagine how demented he's going to be in 3 years, and have to like make excuses for why. He's like, why is he with a shovel digging a hole in the rose garden,
Listen,
in front of the
we
cameras.
gotta do it. we've been working on privatizing Social Security for years.
It's gonna be
No
so
one's been
funny.
talking about it more than me.
There's gonna be like months. There's gonna be like months-long stretches where we're only gonna see Kamala Harris.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
and that's the other fucking scary thing, because I really feel like if Biden does win, I don't think he's. This is doing a lot of guessing here, but I don't
Guess
think
away.
he would seek a second term. He's so fucking old. I think they would understand it's a transitional presidency, and then Kamala Harris would run in 2024, and then like if she wins and then became a 2-term president, like we're talking like 12 years before we have another Democratic primary. You
Oh,
know what I'm
fuck.
saying? And like
Yeah.
that's the
And she'll-
most
and she'll
that's
lose-
the most optimistic.
That's the
take.
good version.
Yeah, that's the good version.
The likely version is if something happens and we protest enough that they implement some like slightly good socialized policies or something like that, and then Biden's just like, I'm gonna go retire to Delaware. and then Kamala Harris runs, then she'll just lose to Tom Cotton,
Right.
because the fascism
Yeah.
isn't going to go away, because
No,
they're
I
never
know.
going to address something. They're never going to address inequality. Like they're
Yeah.
never going to address the core reasons that are driving people towards fascism,
Of course,
right?
not.
Like she'll just lose to Tom Cotton, who will just bring the disembodied head of somebody onto the debate stage,
Right.
and then then he's going to win.
Right. Put Ben Shapiro on the Supreme Court.
Oh Christ.
Why wouldn't they?
Fuck it. Who cares? Man?
Fuck it, why
We're
wouldn't they?
fucked. We're literally. We're fucked. We're literally.
It's so
we're-
bad.
We're fucked.
But I really keep coming back to this, that like I'm sorry, I still have the John Kerry thing open. I'm just the Swift boat thing. It was at the bottom of the Wikipedia. Oh, what a joke. Like I keep coming back to this, like there's no opposition, and the liberalism is just going to kill us. Like they're not going to stop the fascists, and they're going to continue to concede towards them.
Right. Right. I mean, the difference between Democratic rule and Republican rule is are we going to die because of climate change, or are we going to die because we're thrown in the fucking camp and executed? Or something. You know what I mean? It's like,
I
like
know.
those are really the options, I guess.
But this, I mean,
watching this guy, I'm just I'm so fucking pissed. Like watching this shit
Gavin
in
Newsom.
California, these fucking wildfires in California, and like an entirely top to bottom Democrat run state, and they're just fucking useless, absolutely
Vote.
useless. And Gavin Newsom letting it,
He wants to be
you know-
president so bad.
of course, yeah.
vote them out. Gotta get these jackasses out of office. Oh boy, whoa.
Do you guys
What a-
remember in like 2008 the Obama Hope campaign, and like how like kind of cool at the time that seemed?
I saw him live. I
Right.
saw Senator Obama campaign.
You know, I remember the first time I saw Obama was at. You remember he did the keynote speech at the DNC in 2004, and that was like the first time he was a senator then. I think he'd just become a senator.
Yeah.
And that was like
Yeah.
the first time anybody had ever heard of him. But like, I don't know. Like I remember like kind of being taken in by his I mean, because he is an incredibly charismatic
Oh yeah,
speaker, incredibly
especially in contrast with everybody else.
good speaker. Oh, and he was so different and new and young, and he was saying, but he really like, I don't know. I think I got kind of apolitical for a while after, especially like the late in like the second Bush term. I was just like, man, I just sort of tuned out. And I kept up with things, but I wasn't really taken in by Obama. But like, yeah, like as soon as he got in there, like that whole fucking hope and change message. I mean, he had this like huge, like very like real, like almost like Bernie Sanders style, like real legitimate grassroots movement that got him in office with more of a mandate than any other modern president has had, with like a supermajority in the Senate, and then the Democrats had the House and the Senate, I believe. And then he just squandered all his goodwill. He did nothing. As soon as he could have done,
dude.
he could have pushed through fucking anything he wanted as soon as he got in there. And he just completely turned his back on and abandoned the people who elected him immediately. And like meanwhile, like Mitch McConnell from day one is saying like, well, we're gonna block everything he tries to put through. You know, I mean, you know, from the start saying we're going to obstruct every step of the way, and
I
he
can't
still
reiterate this
tried to
fact.
fucking play ball with them.
I can't reiterate this fact enough that the transition team for the in 2008 transitioning into 2009 gave the prospective incoming cabinet picks and had Citigroup vet them. Obama's transition team, Obama knowingly had his cabinet vetted by Citigroup, who, by the way, and I considered, I wanted to talk about this at some point, but I got, like, on my phone, I had breaking news yesterday. Breaking news. Wall Street Journal, fucking Financial Times, every breaking news that the first woman is going to be the CEO of a major Wall Street bank. It was Citigroup. And I remember thinking, like, have we
Go off, Queen.
have we really not learned that, like, having marginalized people in high places does nothing to create justice?
No.
It, like, does nothing to it does nothing. And this is not like, is she gonna, like, have, like, single mothers have preferable loan treatment? Like, nothing's gonna change.
You guys remember when I guess it was in the second Obama term, and HSBC, the large multinational bank, got caught laundering money for terrorists and drug cartels, like literally red-handed, like HSBC London leadership memos. They had the full view of the entire picture that the bank was just laundering billions and billions of dollars for people who are directly responsible for tens of thousands of deaths.
Yep.
And there was a investigation in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Virginia, and then it came down from the Assistant Attorney General, Lanny Brewer, and Loretta Lynch told them to stand down. They were ready to actually indict they were ready to indict the bank itself, which would have been huge because they had such a mountain of evidence against HSBC. And Loretta Lynch and Lanny Brewer said, we're not gonna do that because we don't want to affect the economy. We don't want a knock-on effect. We don't want these bankers at HSBC losing their jobs.
It was post financial collapse. You could not have gotten a better fucking political environment to upend the entire banking system in the world. Like, we would have had all the fucking political will to fucking do it.
And what they ended up doing, so they obviously didn't indict the bank. No executives, no one went to jail for this, which is insane. But what they did end up doing, they reached a deferred prosecution agreement, which means there was no prosecution. But they did fine the bank. And the amount was something like, it totaled 4 weeks of profit for the bank.
No fucking way.
Yeah, not even like revenue, just 4 weeks of profit. So like they were back up and running in no time.
And now had to reduce a quarterly dividend.
It's so funny now because HSBC has, ever since then, has had a PR campaign, and sometimes I'll see like YouTube video ads from them about how they're leading the fight against corruption and transparency in banking, and it's such a joke.
Well, I'll read this headline from 2017. Very simply, Barack Obama to make $1.2 million from 3 Wall Street speeches.
Hey, you know, that Martha's Vineyard compound isn't going to pay for itself.
No, it is not. And what a compound it is, man, huh?
I'm happy for him. Good for him.
Fuck. That's why, like guys like him and Bill Clinton, Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, who really came from, no wealth, still uphold the system because they're like, well, you know, I got through it. I became an exceptional. Yeah, I became an exceptional character, right? Oh, man. And I cannot believe that Barack Obama intervened with the NBA strike to be like, come on, guys. He literally said, shut up and play to them.
Yeah.
Shut up and dribble.
Well, that's like, yeah, like literally, like, he's only fucking come out of his cave like twice this year. Once for that and once to fucking, you know, knife Bernie Sanders in the back.
Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah. Where is he? Like, what's he doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, even for the people who like him, like.
But you're so right. The only times he has used his political capital in the last 12 months is to attack the left.
Yeah. I think it's great. I mean, between like in the face of like this extraordinary threat of global fascism, the two most prominent and most recent Democratic politicians, presidents in American history, the Clintons and Obamas, they've responded to that threat by doing what we do, which is podcast.
They're no better than us.
Let's invite Michelle Obama on.
I would love to have Michelle Obama on.
I would love to talk to Michelle Obama about how she's been sad.
Oh, fuck, that's right.
Wait, what is this?
What did she say?
There's an interview where she said,
was like, I'm a bit depressed or something.
yeah, the Trump years have made her depressed. And it's
Aw.
like, me too, Michelle. Let's talk about it.
I'm like, oh yeah, here it was. It was from, oh, Jesus Christ, time flies so fast. This is from August. This is from a month ago. It says, Michelle Obama reveals she is suffering from a low-grade depression. The reasons? The pandemic, race relations in the United States.
Same.
I'm like, oh God.
That's so relatable, Michelle.
This is good. Oh, this is what she said on the Michelle Obama podcast. She said, I'm waking up in the middle of the night because I'm worrying about something or there's a heaviness. I just try to make sure I get a workout in, although there have been periods throughout this quarantine where I've just felt too low. Oh man. They're so divorced from reality of how
I
we
haven't
live.
listened to them yet, but like my impression of like the Obama podcast and the Clinton podcast, and I guess probably the Buttigieg podcast as well, but more importantly the Clintons and the Obamas, is that, like, you know, like you said, in the face of this, you know, fascist threat, because Biden for one is so ineffective, I think that like the Clintons and the Obamas like feel the need to kind of like rudder the ship a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And like get their views out there, and like this is the party line, this is the Democrat, you know, capitalist party line, you know what I'm saying, like in the face of the left. I mean, it seems to me like the move of people who are, you know, perhaps nervous and like want to sort of assert their dominance and get their opinions out there and sort of guide the way that the Democratic Party moves, you know, even though they're not in power themselves.
I think you're spot on. Yeah, George Bush isn't doing that.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, no,
he's
is
dabbling in the arts as well. He's
yeah,
painting.
he did have a podcast last year, didn't he?
No.
He
Really?
did. I promise you.
Who
Yeah,
could-
he released at least one episode of a podcast.
I'm not trying to be funny, but like out of all of the mediums that he could have chosen, his words are his least. That's like the thing he is worst at is his words.
Mhm.
Lest we forget fucking Bushisms, man.
Classic.
Oh man.
How quaint that seems
Oh
Yeah.
man.
nowadays. I mean, it's like you know, like
That was-
just him mildly misspeaking or mispronouncing a word, and like you know contrast that with like Trump saying that like MS-13 is going to chop your daughter's head off, and you know,
Like-
vote 80 times a person.
The liberal media coverage during the Bush era was basically just like, this motherfucker said nuclear.
Yeah.
I know. Oh man, I watched the Now Watch This Drive thing last night. Oh, maybe we should insert it here.
We must stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Oh, it's so good. It's just so good, man.
We went to a park in Botswana. That's my favorite one. I know we've mentioned that before.
It's the first time we've been back to Texas since our trip to Africa, and you may recall we went to a park in Botswana.
It's so good
I don't know why. I don't know why.
because it doesn't make sense that he's just
Yeah.
like exclaim a park in Botswana.
Yeah.
He got so mad about it. You know who I'd love to have on the fucking show actually?
George Bush.
I would love to have George Bush on the show. Not to give him a platform. I can't say what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'd just like to get within 100 yards of him. That's all I
No.
need.
Stop. I would. Speaking of which, I would love to get the guy that threw the shoes at him on the show.
Oh,
man.
yes.
Muntasser. I don't remember his name.
He's just such a delight on Twitter.
Al-
I love him so
Al-Zaidi.
much.
That's him. Yeah.
He's so responsive on
Muntada.
Twitter.
Yeah. Thank you,
But
dear. That's what he always says.
I think he must like search certain phrases because I've seen posts where people will post something without even tagging him. They'll
Yeah.
just be like, the guy who threw the shoe. And then he'll reply like, thank you,
Yeah.
dear.
Uh,
Yeah.
Muntadar al-Zaidi, name searching, cringe.
He's great. He's in the what is it? The Parliament now?
Wait a minute, what the fuck?
Is he?
It's on the Wikipedia article of the Bush shoeing incident. It says deaths 0, injured 2. One is him, and the other one is Dana Perino. What the fuck happened? Injuries. Oh, this is bad. According to
Does it
witnesses,
have it like a conflict? Does it say like belligerence?
Yeah, no, hang on, listen. According to witnesses, al-Zaidi was, quote, severely beaten by security officers after he'd been dragged out of the room following the
Yes, he
shoe
was.
throwing incident. As the man screaming could be heard outside, Bush said, oh my God, I didn't know this. Bush said, that's what people do in a free society. Draw attention to themselves. Are you fucking kidding? He said that? A large blood trail could be seen on the carpet where al-Zaidi had been dragged by security agents. Afaq TV reported that security forces kicked al-Zaidi and beat him. His family reports that it has received many threatening phone calls. I don't doubt that. The United States Secret Service and the Iraqi police took custody of al-Zaidi. He was tested for alcohol and drugs. It's Iraq. And his shoes were confiscated as evidence. They took his shoes.
Didn't he throw his shoes?
Yeah.
He had backup shoes?
But where I'm trying to see who said Dana Perino was, what was she? She was like the press secretary or something?
She was, yeah, no, she's a Fox talking head.
Listen to this. White House press secretary Dana Perino was hit in the face by a microphone boom, knocked over by a presidential bodyguard.
Friendly fire! Friendly fire!
That's so good. Oh, I had no idea.
I love that video so much because two things are impressive, really. Obviously, the shoe throwing itself, he beams them, man. It's like a rope.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
What a piss missile.
And it pains me to admit, Bush dodges them in an impressive way as well.
Like fucking
And-
Neo,
And with style. He came up smiling.
It's like he's been
He loved it.
practicing this.
yeah.
That was like part of I think it was W by Oliver Stone, the movie, or it was I think it was that where he was like, I think I'm the most athletic president that's been in office. What do you think? It's probably true too. I mean, shit,
Probably
you know,
true. I mean,
if you
just
quit
like,
drinking
there
for
was
that
Teddy
long.
Roosevelt, but like his idea of athleticism was like lifting barrels or something.
Yeah.
He
It's like whatever weird early 20th century calisthenics he was into.
he was definitely the kind of like in shape, out of shape guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a large barrel
Just
chest,
like
but he's
just
like
lifting like one of those big like pyramid shaped weights, like hoo ho hee ho.
yeah.
Yeah.
One of those
So I
guys
imagine.
who just who looks very fat, but like he has a six pack somehow.
Exactly. Strong on top, big biceps, but gouted ankles.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's funny, but this is a tangent, but I think it's funny whenever like sometimes you'll see like weird memes or something that like talk about like describe Teddy Roosevelt as an environmentalist. Like whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean, but like his, you know, I mean, his idea of like environmentalism was like establishing, you know, parks that like you could go enjoy nature and then like, you know, shoot large game in. Like,
Yeah.
it's not exactly an environmentalist.
Dude, he cut 2 continents apart from each other. He tore North and South America apart from each other. Fucking environmentalist. Do you know what has resulted as a result of trade between those? Like ballast water from like the Pacific being shot into New York Harbor and having invasive plants and animals like just wreak havoc on the North American continent.
I think
Like,
you have to
there's
consider shareholder value as well.
You know, I didn't consider that, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. Oh, what a fucking joke. That's so funny. Teddy Roosevelt. And he was like police commissioner for New York City too, for the NYPD. Like that's what his job was, I think, before he got into politics.
A-cab, Teddy, A-cab.
And if I'm not mistaken too, Teddy Roosevelt was Barack Obama's favorite president.
Not
He's like,
surprised.
I found him to be an interesting character. And he said this, and which is true. He would like disappear for a month while in office, Teddy Roosevelt. And he would just be like getting hammered and falling asleep in front of fucking Half Moon.
Good
or
for him.
half in Yosemite or whatever. Half Dome.
That's inspirational.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh man. And instead we got this fucking teetotaler in office.
Yeah, that's
Trump,
so
Trump,
cucked.
you know, I mean, if Trump wasn't under 24-hour supervision, he would disappear as well, probably like in a fugue state or something.
And I guess and I have to agree with you, Chris. I don't think that he's sober at all. I think you're right in the fact that he uses prescription amphetamines.
Oh yeah. I think they're starting to fucking give him to Biden too. Honestly, I've seen him a couple times recently where I don't know, man.
That's where I saw Trump was on an interview on Fox recently where he was
accused him of using
complaining.
drugs.
But the way he couched it was like, I don't know, but a lot of people are saying he's taking drugs.
We were using it for years. It was my mother's diet pills. I used to take them from her cabinet.
Yeah, your Biden impression is killing me, dude.
I didn't do it until today. I'm very proud of it.
I mean, to the listener, I really have to describe the way he's clenching his teeth and like
It's
pulling.
painful.
Yeah.
You have to bring the mouth down to the bottom of the head.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it for years. I used to clench my jaw. Me and my buddies would go out in the 57. We'd go chasing tail. We'd be up till all hours.
It's classic Scranton.
Totally. And he's not even a boomer. I mean, he's silent generation. He's too old for that. He's fucking 78.
I wish he was silent.
He's older than Trump.
Yeah, by like 4 years.
Really?
It's crazy how old he is.
But again, it speaks to the fact that exactly like these guys haven't gone away. It's the same people that are governing us. It's the same managerial class that just like wants to be our technocrats. They're just now older. They're just now senile. They're just now developing symptoms of like underlying mental degradation.
Yeah, I mean, either way, we're gonna have whoever's the president in 3 or 4 years from now, whether it's Trump or Biden, is going to be seriously way more demented than they are now. There's one or the other. But can you imagine what Trump is going to be like 4 years from now?
Firing on all cylinders.
Oh man,
yeah.
I don't want to think
more Adderall than man.
Even if he's not in office, like if
He's not
loses,
going away.
He's not going away.
No, he's gonna get a show on OAN.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's actually I'd be okay with, like, if we can just like sequester him off so that like just the fringe is still listening to him. Like that's the best we can hope for.
I think that's
aside from any other restorative justice.
That's when he's going to go full QAnon, like on his
Yes.
own TV
Yes.
show. He's
Yes.
just going to go full batshit.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of good outcomes that I see from this. Like if we really just had to like, crystal ball it for a second, like there's not a lot of good outcome. And again, like no one saw the Arab Spring coming. Not that like, that I don't think it could be argued that it led to like more democratic societies or whatever, but like maybe. I don't know enough to say, but like things happen so quickly and so unexpectedly.
Yeah.
What is just so fucking crazy to me is that a major political party in the United States has their opposition, right? The Republicans are fucking up and making life worse for the entirety of this country and all voters. And Democrats are doing nearly nothing to capitalize off of that, to make any substantive change.
Well, I'm hoping for some pragmatic solutions, and I hope both sides can get together and work out some deals. That's what it is. That's what it's always going to be until the heat death of the universe.
It's so funny too. Like I still like, I know it's it's funny, John Delaney or whatever. Like I still would love to interview him and have him on the show. Like I would give if somebody has his fucking schedulers numbered, like just DM me or something. But like
his home address.
No. Like rich
DM
guys.
that one to me.
Rich guys like no. Don't give it to Chris. Rich guys like that is actually what they think. We just need some no-nonsense solutions. Forget all this pie in the sky, ridiculous stuff. We just need to get back to some good common sense policies.
Well, because they're coming from the viewpoint that fundamentally everybody wants the same things, which is just fallacious. I mean, from the start, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just if that's where your idea of politics comes from, is that, well, You know, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. You know, we all want the same thing. We all want the best for the country. We all want the best for ourselves. And we all really want the same thing. It's just about how we hash it out and get there, you know, which is just a fundamentally absurd way to, you know, look at what's going on.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
There's no compromise, you know, there's no compromise between, like, you know, Jews will not replace us and, like, please cops stop shooting us. Like, there's no there's no way to
Exactly.
square that circle.
That's what I tweeted about that today, because I was like, how many people are going to be killed by cops before we figure out who the good and the bad cops are?
Right.
That's what they want. Because they don't want to change that system. And it still just like blows my mind. Like, Democrats are still toting this, which is that liberals think that racism is whether or not you're interpersonally nice to somebody.
Yes.
And they, instead of, you know, the structure of racism, and I talked about this on a Dwight's Bites, and I still can't fucking believe this, that black doctors outperform childbirth to white doctors 3-1. Meaning, if you are a black baby being born, you are 3 times more likely to die in the hands of a white doctor than in the hands of a black doctor. That's not an interpersonal racism thing. Like, that's not whether or not I am nice to somebody in line at a fucking grocery store.
Right.
That is a insidious, sick, endemic, fucked up piece of metastasized culture woven into the fabric of our society that needs to be excised. I still can't believe that. So yeah, it's not whether or not you're fucking nice to somebody. It's like the entire system from fucking head to toe is sick.
Just circling back to police for a moment, one of the more pathetic things is seeing all of these ostensibly liberal or even left-wing mayors of big cities around the country completely caving to police unions who, in many cases, explicitly call for their deaths. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, dude. Yes. It's insane. It's like actually insane.
It's so cucked.
It is.
Like, who's running these cities actually? Like, come on.
Oh, I'll tell you, because this was something that I saw that came up like 2 days ago that fucking blew my mind. Like, how this isn't a call to arms for class war. I can't believe it. It was a New York Post, and it came out. New York City CEOs plead with de Blasio to crack down on crime and quality of life issues.
Right. Yeah, because I love to see Goldman Sachs executives crying about homeless people. That's what I want to see.
I keep seeing a lot. There's been a lot of articles lately. There's been a lot of stories about, like, you know, Upper West Side shitheads. Whining about the homeless in Manhattan.
Not just whining, but plotting mass murder.
Yeah,
Did you see the thing about the hornet spray?
Yep.
I did. Yep. Yeah, I did. I saw that. I saw a couple of, like, replies to that as well. But they also, I mean, they literally just, like, you know, had them kicked out of this hotel that they'd been, you know, staying in there, you know, because of for quarantine.
This was another de Blasio beauty right here. It's disgusting. Like, those Facebook comments were deeply disturbing because these are like New York City liberals. And here they are.
Exactly.
They're passing advice back and forth about, like, oh, don't just kick them in front of a bus.
Right.
What the fuck?
I can assure you that San Francisco liberals are exactly the same.
Same thing.
Oh yeah.
Same thing.
And, like, what gets lost in all of this is, like, the obvious solution, which is, like, homeless people need homes.
Yeah, right.
They don't need hornet spray in the face. They don't need to get kicked in front of a bus. They just need a place to live. Like,
I mean, that's, you know, I mean, the way we handle homelessness is really just completely ass backwards because, like, you know.
And I don't mean to suggest that will solve all the problems.
No,
of everyone,
but yeah, I understand. But like
it's a good fucking start.
That's literally, yeah, that should be the first step. Is like getting people inside. Like, then from there you work on mental health issues, you work on drug addiction issues, you work on resume building and employment when people are ready for a job. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do any of that if you're still, you know, have that day-to-day suffering of being on the streets. Like, that has to be the first thing you solve.
I know.
And there have been, like, small-scale pilot programs of exactly what you just described in some European countries and even in some cities in America, including Salt Lake City,
Mm-hmm.
where they've created programs to address homelessness by providing housing first, no strings attached, no questions asked. And then once they get people in housing, they can focus on, getting their life up and running and any other issues that they may have. And all of these programs have been like wildly successful by any measurable metric.
Even if you looked at it from a purely cynical and fiduciary standpoint,
It costs less to house them.
Exactly. It
Right.
costs less for people to live fulfilled lives than to be thrown into the Thunderdome of having to live outside.
Right, because then these people get thrown in jails every other night, and then
Repeated
the nights,
hospitalizations.
right, the nights they're not in jail, they're in hospitals.
Right.
And
I mean, not to mention, the quality of life. I mean, like, the complaints that the fucking Upper West Side shitheads have. I mean, nobody wants to see people shooting drugs or, like, shitting on the street. But, I mean, that's just where we're at, you know what I'm saying?
I'm laughing because I literally saw it this morning.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to see that, but also the people doing it don't want to be doing it. I can guarantee you that. Yeah.
But they it's like in the same way that liberals and conservatives use the term criminal like a class of people.
Sure.
Like they think that these are a class of people that we just have to deal with. Like mosquitoes.
The
It's just something that you have to... Exactly. It's a fucking caste. And they just think, I work hard and I'm in a house, so it must be that it's because they don't work hard. And that's the reason that they're outside. Oh, it's just so fucking sick. It's just the fucking worst.
I think, it is sick, and it elides the precarious nature of a lot of people, like, who aren't homeless, but, like, close to it, like, if one bad thing happens, there's a lot of people on the edge in this country.
Especially now.
If I'm not mistaken, I remember this statistic from, would have been like 2014, that was like 40% of Americans are one missed paycheck away from defaulting on their mortgage. And I can't imagine what that statistic would be now, given the fact that, how many people have lost their incomes and we're still losing about 1 million jobs per week.
Mm-hmm.
So I really can't even start to get my head around that. I said this before we started recording, but like, it would have been nice to not live some of the best years of our lives in like a declining empire of just death and destruction all up around us. It would be really nice to just not have to fight for this stuff and just live a healthy, fulfilled life. But then again, maybe we wouldn't be able to hang out with our buddies in podcasts like this.
That's right. You take the good with the bad, I guess.
Oh man, I suppose we should wrap it up here, huh?
Yeah. Once again, we didn't get to any of those articles.
No. It's the ritual that I like, is that I like thoughtfully come up, like, find some articles that are really interesting for us to talk about, and they get completely disregarded, which is why I do Dwight's Bites. It's for me entirely.
And this is going to be a Patreon one?
Yeah. I'm totally fucking kidding, by the way. I don't give a shit. Ideally, like, we just talk and not fucking like go through the articles.
Yeah. I read both those articles. I would be interested maybe if you want to later on, not today, but like if you do plan on recording something about those, I'd do it with you.
Oh, let's do it like early next week or some shit.
Yeah.
Or even fucking tomorrow. When
I won't be free tomorrow.
Fuck tomorrow.
I really hope I get to see the beautiful boaters today, man.
Dude.
I'm super excited.
too.
I'm really excited.
Me too.
I'm really excited.
I hope you take pictures if you see them.
I took some pictures because I was here a few weeks ago. I got some pictures of the boaters.
Oh yeah,
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
I wasn't on Twitter then. I put them on Instagram though.
I put them on Parlor.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I had a few flagons of ale last night, and I went on fucking Instagram Live, and I played guitar.
I got a
for,
notification when you
10
started.
minutes.
Cool.
It said Dwight has started Instagram. I was like, what is Dwight doing? I didn't check it out, but
I haven't used Instagram in forever, except to chat with like Chris when he gets suspended. I should use it more if I know you're gonna be doing music on there. I don't think I follow you though.
Oh yeah, no, I'll it's at Dwight Rhinoceros.
he's brand new on Instagram.
Yeah, no, I've just been taking pictures of like meals and stuff that I cooked and shit. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with it. I just figured want to be a double threat or something.
There's some really good like I just started following every insane right-wing account I could on Instagram. I just completely turned my feed on there into like just a sewer of
Oh yeah.
MAGA memes. So like I followed every single Barron Trump fan account and like every Melania Trump fan account, because that's where
No
the
way.
real, like, the people who are obsessed with like how beautiful Melania is and like how cute and wonderful Barron Trump is, like those are the real sickos. The people that like, you know, look like almost like people who are like obsessed with the royal family or something. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
people
yeah,
who
yeah.
like love the Trumps. Like those are the real sickos. You can find some really good Melania Trump memes. They're hilarious.
Oh god, that's sick.
I love seeing pictures of like Trump and then all of his children with the date of like all future presidential elections
Yeah.
under them.
Yeah, exactly.
Delusional shit.
The
Yeah.
dynasty.
Delusional shit.
I hope Barron Trump is president one day.
Me too.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's going to be the fucking chancellor.
Yeah.
The chancellor that fucking puts us in camps.
A chicken in every pot and Minecraft on every computer.
Mike, thank you very much for joining us today, buddy. It was a pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure was all mine, Dwight. I insist.
All right, friends. Till next time. Stay cool.
Take care, guys.
This land is your land. This land is my land. I'm a Texas tiger. You're a liberal wiener. I'm a great crusader. You're a Herman Munster. This land will surely vote for me.
This land is your land, this land is my land. I'm an intellectual, you're a stupid dumbass. I'm a Purple Heart winner, and yes, it's true, I won it thrice. This land will surely vote for me.
You have more waffles than a house of pancakes. You offer flip-flops, I offer tax breaks. You're a UN pussy, and yes, it's true that I kick ass. Ha! This land will surely vote for me.
You can't say nuclear, that really scares me. Sometimes a brain can come in quite handy, but it's not gonna help you because I won 3 Purple Hearts. This land will surely vote for me.
You're a liberal sissy.
You're a right-wing nut job.
You're a pinko commie.
You're dumb as a doorknob.
Hey, you got that Botox.
But I still won 3 Purple Hearts. This land will surely vote for me.
This land was my land.
But now it's our land.
From California to the New York Island. What I do?
From the liberal wieners
To the right-wing nut jobs.
this land belongs.
This land belongs.
This land belongs to you and me.
Yeah. Oh, and Dick Cheney too.